Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Roo Hammer. This is Season 3, Episode 22, and this is our special Magic Round preview, the Round 10 of the NRL. Obviously, all played in Brisbane last weekend. What an awesome weekend it was. And we'll also be going into depth the Warriors' loss to the Rabbitohs, as well, all the other games in Magic Round. But before we get started, I just want to thank you guys all for joining us for another episode made possible by the fantastic support of our Patreon members. It's their awesome support that helps us to upgrade our visual presentation via Restream and bring you the content that you guys enjoy so much. Anyway, Hammer, mate, how you going? How was Brisbane? God's country.
Love it. I love being up there, mate. I'm up there every...
Of course, yeah.
Queensland pretty much every second weekend or whenever the Warriors are playing up there anyway. So, yeah, mate, it was good. It was a great weekend. Before we get into that, though, just, I want to echo your thanks to all our wonderful supporters out there whose support allows us to do what we do here. And just a reminder to everyone that's tuned in tonight that, the reason we do the show live is so that we can get your involvement. So, as we move through those discussion points tonight, feel free to join the conversation via the comments section, and we'll bring you into the conversation as we go. Please be aware that we do have current and ex-players and their families that watch this webcast, so keep your comments respectful and just refrain from making them personal. But yeah, mate, whether it's good was Magic Round. It was awesome, wasn't it?
Right, bloody fantastic. It's obviously look forward to it every year. I've been lucky enough to go to all three so far, and as you said, weather aside, which was very ordinary, sitting there in the rain for those three games. But before we even got to the stadium, though, it was an awesome turnout for our pre-game fan event at the Lord Alfred Hotel. This year, mate, it certainly topped last year's event. It was a massive shout out to our great mate Richie Morgan of Warrior Nation, who organised the venue. And, mate, he worked so hard to get his vision realised, and, it's really starting to come to fruition now, which is great to see for all involved.
He does. He does, and it is, mate. It's great that, between Warrior Nation and Roo Hammer, we facilitate these fan meetups and bring, the Warrior supporters all together. And there were so many supporters there. Some even flew in from New Zealand for the event. And it's an event
shout out to Lee.
Lee. We've got a picture of him here somewhere. As we scroll, there's a nice one of Warrior 127 with us, Grant Rovelli.
Yeah, great one.
It's sort of continue to have every year at the get bigger and bigger. And in fact, we're already in this Richie in the planning of next year's event. So obviously watch this for the event. Yeah, if you haven't been, you've got to go. It's sensational. We had a great turnout. You can see by the numbers there. It was an awesome experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to get in nice and early and get the venue booked again and try and get some more guests lined up as well. Massive thanks and shout out goes to the Warriors owner, Mark Robinson, CEO Cam George, and Warriors commercial, GM, Glenn Critchley, all for coming along and mingling with the fans. We appreciate them as always. And it was great to get Robbo up, wasn't it, to have a bit of a chat about the Warriors, and you can just hear the love of the club and the voice, passion that oozes out of him when he talks about the club as well. It's really great to have a bit of a yarn with him.
Yeah, that mate, when he talks, he's very passionate about Warriors, and he's in that community. There's a great picture there of Campion wearing his shirt, getting his jersey signed by the great Campo. Mate, the first time I met Rob was back in round 1 at 2020, and we went up there with our mate Josh Gage. Josh was going to be he'd just been recovering from heart surgery, and he was going to talk to the Warriors. He was invited up there to chat to the Warriors, and we met Mark Robinson downstairs. Neil was decked out in Warriors gear, had his little son with him, and mate, I was talking to him for about 20 minutes. His fan, and then it wasn't until Cameron George, oh no, that's the owner, that I realised he was the owner. He's the most unlikely looking bloke to be like a corporate owner of a sporting organisation. But yeah, talking to him that day, he was talking then, and I knew back then in 2020 that the club was in the right hands. You want your owners to be invested in with the club on and off the field. So, and mate, a huge thank you to our special guests at the event, Mark Tookey, Warrior 76. We had 86, and they're great supporters of what we do here at Roo Hammer, and they're always supporting everything. And then to also have Warrior 127 Grant Rovelli, it was great to finally meet him, because a lot of the guys that we meet through this platform online when we're interviewing them. So it's really good when we come face to face with them, and we kind of chatted to Ravs like he was just an old mate that we hadn't caught up with for quite a while,
wasn't it? Yeah,
it was. And then big he Dr. Death from the Caxton across the road. So Warrior 59 Jason Deeks himself as a late inclusion to the event, and it was great to meet him and have him involved in the Q&A also.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. My mate Tooks and Campo, they're massive supporters of what we do, and mate, we just love them because they're always so giving of their time for the fans. And we've been fortunate enough to develop a really good friendship with those guys as well, which is amazing. As you said before, Grant Rovelli, what a champion bloke he is. He's just so personable. He spoke really, really well, and he's keen to come on for another chat. Such an awesome guy to just chat to and have a beer with. We're thinking, we haven't discussed this yet, but it'd be cool to get him on with Whitty and Georgie Gaddis, because those boys seem to have some good stories, a bit of banter between them. So that'd be kind of cool if we could get all those blokes together.
Mate, I don't think we wouldn't have to say much. It'd just be get those three on screen, and then we could just disconnect, and that'd be it for the night for us.
That's it. Just like off to bed. Poor old Dr. Death, though. Seriously, what a great bloke. What an awesome sport. I kind of felt like we'd stitched him up a bit. He literally arrived at the event, and we got him straight up on stage with no prior warning. But he did great. Unfortunately, he did have to leave straight after. But we've been in touch with him since, and he's really keen to come on for a chat with us as well. But big fan of the Doc. I always loved him. He was a fantastic hooker and lock, and obviously our 99 player of the year. And I've got a real soft spot for the Doc.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realise he's actually Ivan's brother-in-law too. So both the Doc and Ivan married Josh Josh Stewart's sisters. So the all in-laws. Arpai from Hold the Ball, who we have a great relationship. We hadn't actually faced to face. He enjoyed from his home in Port Augusta to Adelaide, and then a 2.5-hour flight from Adelaide to Brisbane to come and take part in the event. Watch his first Warriors game outside of New Zealand. I think the last time he watched them play was 2015, I think he said.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so it was awesome to finally meet him face to face. To be able to connect him with our Warriors whānau, it was great. We introduced him to Cameron George and Mark Robinson, Dukes and Grant Rovelli and Kevin Campion, and he was beside himself. He had a great question from Warriors and NRL Fanatics was there also. It's always great to catch up with him. He's always been a great supporter of ours. So, it was a really, really good.
It was, and we're very fortunate enough to have the support of some of the Warriors' parents as well. David, Nat Curran, Josh's parents, and Tans Tainui, who is Dejan's mum, and player manager Chris from Pulse Management as well. They all helped make the day a success. A huge thank you to our good mate Sean as well, the Seanster, the Stat Warrior. Mate, he does our videos, snap pics, and he's just a huge support to us and what we do. So, yeah, legend, mate. We really appreciate you, buddy.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of through. Terrific afternoon, lads. It was such a great afternoon, Warriors legends. I hope that NRL TV posts something special about what you guys do for us fans of our club. Keep up the great work. Thanks.
Cheers,
we did
man.
a little side piece afterwards, which we'll chat about a little bit later. But NRL.com had a chat to us, and Jacko says, talk to Robbo. So did you get any hints of how he feels about the state of the club at present? Not really. In that kind of environment, it's very hard to get that kind of conversation. there's so many people in him left and right to want to have a chat and what have you. And because we're hosting the event, we want to make sure that we're just standing in one spot talking to one person. We try to get around and talk to as many of the fans as possible as well. Thank them for coming. So that'll be a conversation for another day. But yeah, it was a huge day. So many factors coming together to make that day a success. Big and his partner, as you mentioned, mate, who flew over from New Zealand for great. Finally meet some New Zealand-based supporters coming here now that restrictions are somewhat eased. Travel back and forth between the two countries, and of course, huge shout out to everyone who attended and said hello, chatted with us. There was a lot of. If you've never been, put it on your bucket list of things to do next season.
Yeah, definitely. And as you touched on just before, we were pulled aside by NRL.com to do a bit of a piece about Magic Round and asked about our opinion of the possible Magic Round event in NZ, which, of course, we wholeheartedly endorsed. And Magic Round 2023 has been confirmed for Brisbane next year, but a similar event maybe later on in the season in New Zealand, possibly at Eden Park or wherever, that would be pretty special for not just the Warriors, but the NRL as a whole.
It definitely would be, mate. The NRL already know how successful it would be based on this event that was held there over several seasons. It's definitely warranted love to the New Zealand Rugby League public that have been starved of any rugby league for 3 seasons. And, they're going to start filtering some games back over there. Obviously, the Warriors have got 4 home games. I think there's a couple of test matches coming up, but that as a bit of a thank you to the New Zealand Rugby League public be massive midway through next year. But yeah, mate, maybe we should take a bit of a look at what took place on Saturday afternoon, our Magic Round fixture against the Rabbits.
Yeah, mate, let's do it. So it was a 32-30 result in favour of the Rabbitohs over our boys. The Rabbitohs 32 double to Milne. Johnston, Taff, and Cook and Ilias with tries. Taff 4 from 6. The Warriors, Montoya with a double. Pompey, Tavanga, and Uzzy tries. And Walshy 5 from 5. We had several changes going into the game. Obviously, Wade Egan ruled out with a calf injury. Jazz Tavanga was moved to hooker. Aaron Panay starting at lock. And new recruit Freddie Lussic was called to make his Warriors debut from the bench. Ewan Aitken again ruled out with the HIA concussion protocols. And Jack Murchie, he came onto the right edge. And Tohu was named to start in the back row. He actually ended up starting from the bench. And Eli Katoa, he was promoted to the start on the left edge.
Yeah, mate, the Rabbits kicked off in this game, which gave the Warriors first possession of the match. And it was a good start with a completed set, a kick deep on line. And the Rabbits lost Jacob Host pretty early in the game to a shoulder injury in that first set of the match, which brought Liam Knight into the game pretty early for them. And then the Warriors' second set starts with a good return from Reece Walsh. He was full of energy, and he earned a penalty for the Warriors. And kick for touch had us starting our set inside the Rabbitohs half, which was a great start to the game. And the set is highlighted by some really good carries up the middle by Lodge and Fanua Blake, and it finished off with a well-weighted kick by Johnson to force a dropout.
Yeah, again, some strong carries, Lodge, AFB, and Panay. They provided a good platform for us to shift out to the right. And Reece Walsh again this time with another early kick earns us another dropout. The game plan was really sort of becoming apparent there with strong carries up the middle again by our big men before the live wire Reece Walsh tries to get the merchandise into a hole. And then a shift back to the left and then a rush kick from Johnson on tackle 4. Ricochets off the Rabbits and is regathered by Liam Knight. And the pressure and momentum that we'd been building was just like instantly released there.
Yeah, it was, mate. In hindsight, that was a great opening stanza to the game for the Warriors. Probably our best opening 6 minutes all season. But holding possession and building pressure is all for naught if we can't find a way to turn that pressure into points. But that 6 minute opening period did look like that we'd learned some lessons from the previous week's game against the Sharks. Plus, in the wet conditions, strong middle carries, and a grubber in behind the line was the ideal game plan, I thought.
Yeah, but then giving up possession and then a penalty, it gifted the Rabbitohs with the field position inside the Warriors half, and they don't waste the opportunity. Scoring through Tane Milne on that right wing there, he opens the scoring. So one set inside the Warriors half was all it took for the Rabbitohs to expose the poor edge defence and the Warriors, and that looks like continuing to be a problem, unfortunately. They made easy meters again in their set after points, and they made it inside the Warriors half on tackle 3, and finishing with a kick for us to start our set 5 meters out from our line. And the Warriors then highlighted what we spoke about last week with our roster in trading size for speed and how that's affected our set starts. So tackle 4, we still hadn't made it out of our 30 meter zone. Our forwards, they were still working their way back on side, and it was only a relieving penalty that helped us get out of our own half. But unlike our first few sets, instead of getting meters up the middle, we shifted the ball left, and the Rabbitohs, they countered that pretty easily.
Yeah, mate, some attacking deficiencies being highlighted in that period of possession. Reece Walsh really injecting himself into the attacking line, and the only player playing with any amount of high energy and intensity at that point in the game. The Rabbits with another set making easy meters. They earned a repeat set of sorts with a knock-on from Reece Walsh from a Rabbitohs bomb. And the Rabbits back on the attack again on the Warriors line. Blake Taaffe goes close from the scrum, but then, I think 3 plays later, they'd opened up that right edge again, and Tane Milne scored his second try on that right wing. And again, it was our left edge defense again being exposed and being caught shorter on our edges. And everyone has a theory about why we're getting found out on our edges. And for me, I think it comes down to a lack of experience that we have in our back line. And this inexperience hinders our ability to hold our defensive line. They're still not sure how to read plays properly. They opt to jam in on the attack. But, once you're a back rower or a centre chooses to jam in on that inside man, then the outside man of either the centre or the winger, they have to follow suit, or they're leaving a gap between, in that defensive line. So they've got to follow suit. And so if our defence is always shifting inwards to try and cover the inside man, then we're always going to leave ourselves open on the outside. And once that decision is made, it's not hard for the smart halves to identify that and counter that with a long pass or a shift wide or a cutout pass that or just quick hands that exposes that space out wide. And that's something that we've got to try and get through and past, because if you look at our team, we've got a lot of guys that are like under 20 NRL games, and a lot of this stuff just comes with experience as well. And it's all very well to have a rookie on the wing, but it's great if you've got an inside man with a bit of experience, but we don't have that this year. And then you even look at our back rows on the weekend. Our starting back rows at that point in the game was Murchie and Katoa. Murchie's been in the system for a couple of years, but he still hasn't played a lot of first grade. Katoa hasn't played a lot of first grade. Then outside of them, you had Vili Vallejo as one centre. Who was the other centre that we had? Pompey, who again, aren't very experienced players. And out on the wing, you've got Dallin, who is highly experienced. Who we have on the other wing? Montoya. Yeah. Montoya, he's got a bit of experience, but until he came to the Warriors, he was still just a fringe first grader at the Bulldogs. So, so we do have a lot of experience on our edges. That's something that we've got to work through, and that's why for me having someone like a Ewan Aitken in the centres is probably a smarter move to put if his position in between an inexperienced back rower and an inexperienced winger. I think it helps our defensive line, but obviously he wasn't there on the weekend. But I think playing him in the back row at the moment is when we've got an abundance of back rowers is a bit of a mistake from Brownie.
Yeah, it seems like they're reluctant to go backwards on that one. Anyway, and back to the game, the Warriors, we then gave away a penalty on tackle 3 on the set after points, and once again giving the Rabbitohs easy meters into our half start their set. Jazz Tavaga, he gets his head in the wrong position, making a tackle, and he left the field for a HIA, which brings club debutant Freddie Lussic into the game much sooner than we had thought. They waste little time, though, in exposing the Warriors' right edge defence again. This time, a cutout ball from Cody Walker, finding Alex Johnson unmarked for the Rabbitohs' third try in 3 opportunities in the Warriors' 20-metre line. Well, that was the other side. That was the left side. Yeah. So a strong set after points for the Rabbitohs, though, and then the Warriors unable to get out of their own 40-metre zone again in our set. And Johnson's kick was fielded by Taff on his own 30-metre line, and he's tackled on the 40-metre line, and that's where they start their set.
Yeah, mate, and in stark contrast, Walsh fields the ball 1 metre out from his try line, and to start the Warriors' next set. A penalty to the Warriors, and even with the kick for touch and 4 plays off the ensuing set, the Warriors were still unable to get out of our own half. Murchie coming up with a knock-on tackle 4, right on halfway. Funnily enough, that was the first error of the match at that point. The Rabbits were definitely winning that field position battle, mate. The Rabbits, again, with a set inside the half, and again, they waste little time in posting points to extend their lead. This time it was a Cody Walker grubber kick on tackle 4. Blake Taff chasing through to score the try.
Yeah, I think it was about this point that you and I looked at each other and, like, this is a bit of deja vu. Like, they're literally scoring on every possession. Every time they get the ball on our red zone, they're converting it to points, and it was looking really grim. Tohu, he was into the game with 15 minutes remaining in the first half. He was subbed in. He replaced Matt Lodge in the middle. But he gives away a penalty for late contact, and he was put on report. And the penalty put South on the attack 10 metres out from our line. Jazzy passed his HIA assessment with 10 minutes remaining in the half, and he's brought back on, but replacing AFB. And so then once again, we have both Lodge and AFB on the sideline together at the same time in the game, which has never worked out well for us. And the Rabbits get a repeat set. They force a dropout, but Marcelo Montoya rushing in defence on Blake Taff forces an error, and the ball is picked up by Dejan Arce. He strides out. We said he was on the TB 122 treadmill. He dead set could not get rid of the ball quick enough because it looked like dead set the Tony Byrne had his shoelaces tied together. I just remember seeing it. At first, I thought it was Pompey. I thought he'd be a chance of scoring here, but unfortunately, he passed out to Pompey, didn't he?
He did after he got caught down. But if he had given an earlier ball to Pompey could have run away.
Yeah,
Pompey was just biding his time by checking his speed to stay behind Arzi as a support player. And Arzi, Dejan, the fastest bloke on the field, he should have probably passed at that point.
Yeah, as you said, Pompey tackled on halfway. This first bit of excitement, though, in the Warriors' attack since the 6th minute. So it's a long time between drinks.
It was. But then on 0 tackle, Sean Johnson put it to the right corner for DWZ to chase. But Alex Johnson was always going to get there first. And he somehow beats both DWZ and Vili Valea to get back into the field of play. And I don't know what the fuck Johnson was thinking at that point. With 10 minutes left in the half, on tackle 0, and our first set inside South's half since the 6th minute of the match, that was a rookie bonehead brain explosion play from the most experienced Warrior out there. It was a low percentage play and definitely not what we needed at that stage of the game.
Last thing we needed, and all the luck going the way of the Rabbits, the old White Rabbits. Their 5th tackle kick charged down, and they regather for 6 more tackles. And Lachlan Ilias looking like he was going to race away and score, only to be brought down by a try saver from Jazz. What an effort! However, from the play of the ball, Damien Cook, he runs 20 metres, and he dead set beat 7 defenders to get the ball over the line for South. 5th try of the match and a 26-0 lead. That was diabolical, I have to say. But just on Cookie, I've had a little bit of mail come in. Rumour has it that he may have been a beach sprint champion at some point. I haven't had that confirmed or denied, but what do you reckon?
Oh, mate, just rumours. I
It
did
has to
hear
be,
that
yeah.
story somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody said it sometime.
It doesn't often get brought up, does it? So you don't know.
No.
It's hard to tell if it's true or not. Yeah.
No, definitely doesn't get brought up on Fox when they're commentating a Cook game. And whenever Cook's name comes up on the Matty John show, Brian Fletcher never mentions that he used to be a beach champion at one stage. So, just digressing, mate. Interesting comment here from Matt Loader in the comments.
Oh, yeah.
He said, "Matty, how are you, bud? Boys, I got a bit of mail. Someone I know that knows someone in the NRL told me the Warriors will play all competition games in New Zealand in 2023. 14 at Mount Smart and around the country. Example, Dunedin, Cake Tin, Hamilton. Warriors will not play at Magic Round in 2023 with the Dolphins taking their place and the Warriors having the bye. Take it as you will." It's a conversation that's been had quite a bit over the past, 3 years, where people are saying, "I'll give them all their games at home," blah, blah, blah. And I do know that Cameron has been working very hard in the background with the other CEOs of the other NRL clubs, asking if they would take their home game against the Warriors over to New Zealand, not necessarily to Mount Smart, but to New Zealand. So that part of it, that part of it, I can believe that there is discussions on there. I don't think there'd be anything set in stone at the moment. And in regards to Magic Round, I don't know in regards to that. I know the Dolphins have been told that they can have their place in the event, which would be great for them. And they're Queensland-based. It stands to reason. And, of course, us being the only non-Australian team, it stands to reason that we don't come out for it. But there's always great support by the Kiwis and the Warriors fans for Magic Round. I think maybe there needs to be some sort of fairer thought on who misses out. Maybe, the team that finishes with the wooden spoon, they don't play Magic Round that year, unless – if they get consecutive seasons getting the wooden spoon, well, then, maybe it goes to the team that comes second last or something that's a little bit fairer. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. It'll be something that's spoken about quite often now until November when the draw comes out for next season. So if that is the case, great for New Zealand Rugby League, not so great for us Warriors fans based here in Australia, but
trying to organise an event.
We can't complain because we've been so fortunate to have the boys here for the last 3 years. So I hope it comes true for the team. I think it'll be great for them to play every game at home next year. Obviously, mate, we'd have to work out some form of fundraising for us to get over there to a couple of games next year.
Yeah, we would.
Yeah, we'll start a GoFundMe page or something. Send Roo Hammer for the Warriors. But that's great. Thanks for sharing that, Matty. We would Jacko, not worried about you guys. It's almost 3 years away now. I know, that's what I said, brother. That's what I said. Yeah. So we'll have to obviously see if that comes to fruition. There'll always be one team that doesn't want to give up their home game,
Raiders. Ricky Stewart doesn't. Yeah, Ricky Stewart has no sympathy for us at all. So we might have a game in Canberra. So there you go.
There's no way Melbourne will give up the Anzac game in Melbourne. That'll be a Melbourne game 100%. So I can't see them playing every game there. I can see them playing a good percentage of their games at home, but I can't see them playing every game at home. But we'll wait and see.
Great to meet Hakatime Rugby. We met him right in the middle of Caxton Street, like literally right in the middle of Caxton Street when we were walking back down for the.
That's right.
So it's great to meet you, mate. Yeah. Heading back for the Panthers Melbourne game, weren't we?
Yeah, we were too.
Yeah.
That's right. Kind of walking down the street, and him and I locked eyes, and I was like, he's looked at me, I've looked at him. He's gone, "Oh, Hammer," and he come over and had a chat, and then he's looked at Sean, the stat warrior, and he's gone, "Roo," and then he's turned and looked at you, he's gone, "Roo."
That's awesome. I love that. I loved all the random meetings and random encounters and stuff. It was brilliant. That's
we ran into
one of the charms.
We ran into Blaze. we ran into Blaze, who runs the KR Sport page on Facebook and Instagram, and he's got his own YouTube channel. He's a massive Titans fan and friend of Clarkie's, and we did a bit of a piece to camera with him as well after the. It was after our game, wasn't it? Yeah. It was just after the Warriors game. Yep. So yeah, it was always good. Back to the game, mate. So South, they had a 71% possession stat from the 8th minute of the match through to halftime, and they really turned that possession into points. But it wasn't just that possession stat itself that was significant. It was the position on the field that South had that possession, and most of it was inside the Warriors' half. Since the 8th minute of play through to the halftime break, the comparison stats were alarming. South with 71% possession compared to the Warriors 29. Warriors completing from 9 sets. South 16 from 17. So by both teams with good completion rates, but South having 8 sets more than what we had with the ball, and 50% more ball. The Warriors with 149 run meters compared to South's 598. And then South tackled 31 times inside the Warriors' half compared to us 6. The final 6 minutes of the first half, the Warriors with a couple of good plays, most of them just effort plays from Reece Walsh carrying the ball at pace and breaking the line. And, mate, every time he touched the ball, he looked dangerous, didn't he?
Yeah, he certainly did. And unfortunately, he's looking like the only real likely player to ignite something and create something. This just looks dangerous, brings the crowd to their feet. He looks like the spark that we're kind of relying on now. And, he looked dangerous with every touch, just electric, the way he just accelerates. The Rabbitohs, they had a disallowed try just before halftime. It would have been a spectacular try, actually. Lachlan
yes.
is just a blur right before the goal line. It's one of those unfortunate ones. It's happened to me a couple of times where you dive for the line and the ball hits the ground and your arm rolls over and the ball pops out. It happened to me in touch one night. I took an intercept and I had some bloke chasing me, so I had to dive for the line, and that's exact same thing happened. The ball just popped out, so it can happen.
Were you on the TB122 when that happened?
My teammates were saying, mate, dead set looked like you were on a treadmill, and it's not hard. I was gone. I was gone after about 20 meters, but anyway. So that try was disallowed, overturned, the video referee. And we have the final say in our first half, and a relieving penalty got us out of our half. And for the first set on the Rabbitohs line in quite some time, as George Rose would say. As he throws a cutout past the Montoya, he scores in the corner. Crucially, he scores in the corner. And Walsh just slots it from the sideline, and we went into halftime 26-6 down, feeling just a little bit better about proceedings.
It was a brutal first half, though. It was a difficult watch in difficult conditions, and we spoke at halftime and basically said if something didn't improve, we were looking down the barrel of another 50-point drubbing.
Easy.
Yeah. And your mate sitting next to you agreed.
I didn't need to be watching Fox or Nine because I had running commentary the whole game. Yeah.
He was a combination of Paul Kent, Braithen Astor, and Mick Ennis.
He was
yelling at us. He was throwing out the superlatives. Rob would get to the point where Rob would turn to me and whisper a comment, and this guy would fucking answer him.
He was just jumping into our conversations. Yeah, he was.
Oh, it was. The woman in front told him to shut up at one point.
She did. She said, "No, he's not with us."
No, mate. We had the second half started, and there was some even sets between the two teams to start that second half. Before Sean Johnson caused a bit of an error from Cody Walker. He showed some acceleration out of marker and put some pressure on Walker and basically just pushed him at the right time when Walker was dropping the ball to kick and kind of pushed him off the ball. And it turns the ball over in good field position. And once again, the ensuing set sees Reece Walsh once again with energy and intensity on every play, running from dummy half. He split the defence and he went close to scoring, and then a pinpoint Johnson bomb is put down under pressure by Dallin on our right edge.
Yeah, it was encouraging though to see some attacking footy being played to start the half, and then see us chance our arm rather than playing traditional dour 4 crash plays at the line. But we really need to execute those plays a bit better and come up with a better result.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, and we defend well, and we limited the Rabbitohs' meters, which was again an improvement. But poor discipline on the fifth sees Freddie Lussic give away a set restart, and the Rabbitohs, they finished their set 5 meters out from our line. And then with our best set start all season, Pompey, then Montoya with first 2 carries, and they got the ball out towards the 40-meter line. And then Walsh on 3, Walsh on a carry, splits the defence again, goes over halfway, and then his pass to Pompey in the clear, but that's put down. So poor execution, but there is some positive signs there that we're willing to chance our arm.
Yeah, the next attacking set, Tohu Harris with an offload puts Bunty into space, and Big Bunts, he charges 50 metres upfield, gets brought down 5 metres short, and then Eli Katoa gets over 3 tackles later, but similar to the Lachlan Ilias thing, he loses the ball before grounding it, and that's 2 definite scoring opportunities, possibly 3 if you work that Pompey drop ball off the Walsh off that's gone begging in that second half purely through handling errors. But then, to compound things, South then go 100 metres in their possession set, and Lachlan Ilias going over to score. Jazz doing his best to deny the try. He's holding Ilias up for what seemed to be an eternity, and that was right in front of where we were sitting.
Right, directly in front of us, yeah. It seemed to have been held up sufficiently, and then he just found a way to roll over and get the ball down.
Absolutely, and you've got to question whether in the normal game situation, whether that's just called held and they have to get up and play the ball. Ilias, I know it's in a try-scoring position. He gets the ball down. The players around Jazz just not enough to act and to assist him. And Sean Johnson,
wasn't enough urgency. Yeah,
Sean Johnson dived in at Ilias's legs and tried to twist him back onto his back. Whereas he should have just dived in at where the ball was.
Yeah, go straight for the ball. Keep the ball up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Some good signs in attack once again. Pompey, Montoya, and DWZ getting our yardage sets off to a good start. And it was here where Montoya really started coming into his own. He was particularly good with his energy and intensity off his carries.
Yeah, and then with about 27 minutes left and we're down 32-6, we have our best defensive set of the match, and we keep Souths inside their own 40-metre line, and we field the kick to start our set on the 35 metres out from their line. So a couple of sets between the two teams before Johnson, he earns a forced dropout and a well-weighted kick to keep the pressure on and start to shift the momentum in our favour. And then with the Warriors on attack on the South line and the rain, it really started to come down there. And Welsh comes up with a lost ball that's picked up by South. So just like that, off broken play, South are back in position at the halfway again. And the Warriors' next set, again, is working off our line. And on tackle 3, lodged with a strong carry up the middle. And he got a great offload to Sean Johnson, who winds the clock back, showed a clean pair of heels. He takes off into space, weaving between defenders and runs 45 metres, and he's brought down the 20-metre line. Just couldn't quite position anyone. And then Walsh puts up a bomb to the left that is batted in by Montoya, straight in the arms of Adam Pompey, and he goes over to score. The conversion from Walsh was dead set like pinball, wasn't it? Bouncing off, ricocheting off the uprights before going over for a 32-12 scoreline. He enjoyed it, and so did Ben Cummins, both arms Ben.
Yeah, both arms Ben. Both arms Ben. I failed to mention a couple of weeks ago, we had a banter happening with Benny Cummins and Casey Badger. I think it was at the Cowboys game when we beat the Cowboys. Yeah, I was having a bit of banter with Benny, both arms Benny, asking him to use both arms. And as it turned out, he said, I'm not reffing. I'm like up in the I think he might have been the reserve or something that day. Well, I think we had the Shermanator that day.
It was the Shermanator. Might have even been Shermanator's first game. Yeah.
Backyard Benny comes under. Both arms Benny comes under a bit of criticism from people, and I'm sure as a ref I've criticised him quite a bit myself. But that day he showed a great sense of humour and really good personality.
He was really funny.
I kind of look at him in a different light now. Both arms Benny, but he still needs to learn to use both arms consistently. Logie came into his own in the next 10 minutes of the game. He was identifying where Cody Nikorima was in the defensive line and running straight at him and over him with every carry.
Didn't he? He made a beeline.
We mentioned it. We're like, where's Cody? And then Logie get the ball, he runs straight at Cody.
Straight at him.
It paid off so well because we started making some big meters and you could see the light bulb kind of go off in Aaron Pene's head. And he started to do the exact same thing on his carries. He'd find where Cody was, he'd run straight at Cody. A well-worked set on the Rabbits line and another forced dropout earns the Warriors a repeat set. Lachlan Ilias with a strange dropout. It looked to be attempting a short kick, but it almost ended up like a bit of a grubber.
Miscue, yeah.
And then Tavanga has a good one. He gets an offload to Penne, who is tackled 5 metres short, and a quick play the ball enables Jazz to scoot from dummy half and get himself over the line for his first try of the season and a 32-18 scoreline. And, mate, the comeback was on. Certainly
was. And this is where we really started to become mathematicians, looking at the clock and believing the comeback was definitely doable. The Rabbitohs, they nearly kicked the ball dead from the restart, and Uzzy really needed to be a bit more aware of his surroundings there, where he was positioned. He could have easily just stuck his leg back a metre back, and 30 centimetres back, really. And but we got the penalty instead, so we'd be kicking for touch from halfway. But anyway, the Warriors, we started the set deep in our half, and we needed a big fifth tackle kick from Johnson at the end of it, and that could have been the deciding moment there. But a penalty on halfway and the momentum swing that was happening, who knows?
Yeah, that's right.
And then a set with multiple drop balls, first from Montoya and then Johnson, ends with Walsh kicking long for the from the 30 metres. But then a handling error from South, and Villy Valet gets boot to ball and he chases through, and he came up with possession for the Warriors 30 metres out from the line.
Yeah, pretty good instincts there from Villy too, to put boot to ball rather than risk a knock on and try and pick that ball up or dive on it. It showed a level head under pressure for a young kid. Johnson then puts a grubber into the end goal, and both he and Walsh chase through that kick. Shawnee getting there first, but in the wet conditions, he fails to ground the ball. The bunker has a look at that, and in the review, they see that Damien Cook is penalised for an obstruction on Reece Walsh and is given 10 in bin. We thought there could have been a possibility of a penalty try being awarded, but I think with Johnson winning the race to the ball ahead of Walsh, no such luck with the penalty try. A penalty and 10 in the bin for the beach sprinter. And from the penalty, the Warriors went on the attack, and I think it was 2 or 3 tackles in. Dejan Arzi gets the ball and just cuts back an angle towards the posts, finds plenty of space, and he scores. Walsh converts, and the Warriors 8 points adrift now with 5 minutes remaining. Really getting exciting.
It was. The game had just come to life, and then with under 2 minutes remaining, the Warriors shift left with Walsh and Pompey creating the space for Montoya, and he went over for his second try of the match. And then another sideline conversion from Walsh. He puts the Warriors 2 points behind at 32-30, and with a minute left on the clock. That's what we should have done last week against the Sharkies. Yeah. Anyway, we're unable to get out of our own half, though, in that final set of the match, and Johnson attempts a 53-metre field goal. Well, from where we were sitting, it was a bit hard to gauge where players actually were in the field, like we were saying before. Because we were sitting right behind the dead ball line. So a couple of times we thought we'd scored, but he'd just fallen over the 10-metre line. So I didn't realise he was so far out.
Yeah, I thought Bunty had scored 90 metres short of the try line. That's the perception at Suncorp from ground level.
Yeah, we were level 5, row 5. So, so it was 53 metre shot that he attempted to send the game possibly into Golden Point, but it's charged down by the Rabbitohs and regathered by them. And then we wisely use our captain's challenge to challenge that decision. That's ruled an accidental offside by the Rabbits. And with that being a scrum and not a penalty, full time was blown. Look, plenty of negatives to come out of the game, but also, in that second half, a lot of positives as well.
A lot of sliding door moments, as there are in most games. And really, like Jacko makes I think it's in there somewhere. I think it might have disappeared in the comments that I can see. He said that South took their foot off the pedal, which allowed us to get back in the game. And I think that's a fair assessment. Like the scoreline will always show there was 26-6, and then, at halftime we came back and it was 32-30. Not taking nothing away from the Warriors, though. They fought well. It was the first time we've scored more than 4 tries in a game this year, so getting 5 tries is a good thing moving forward. And although it's a loss, that second half effort could be the catalyst that may turn our season around, give some of these guys a little bit of confidence. Doing it without 2 of our best players all season in Wade Egan at hooker and Ewan Aitken in the back row, they've been outstanding for us this year. I think they can take a little bit of confidence from. But yeah, with some easier opposition in the coming weeks, and there's no easy game in the NRL, we know that.
No such thing.
If anything, we're the easy game. But with some easier opposition coming up in the following weeks, like we've got the Dragons this week, then we go into the Knights after that.
Manly during Origin.
Yeah, Manly during Origin. We get Parramatta during Origin. We got Penrith during Origin. So there's an opportunity there for us that that this can really work in our favour, and the boys can start getting some results on the back of that.
Yeah, that second half performance, it really evened up the game stats as well, though. So the Warriors turned to 45% first half possession into 53% possession by the end of the game. And the Warriors with a much improved completion rate of 82%. And all the stats of the game were pretty even, proving that it certainly was a game of 2 halves. So our standout performers in this one, Marcelo Montoya, 179 run meters, 4 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, 1 try assist and 2 tries. Matt Lodge, ever consistent, 146 meters, 48 post-contact meters, 6 tackle breaks, 1 line break, assist, 2 offloads and 21 tackles. Bunty Afoa, 130 meters, 58 post-contact meters, 4 tackle breaks, 1 line break, 29 tackles. And our boy Jazz, 67 run meters, 2 tackle breaks, 1 line break, 2 offloads, 45 tackles and a try.
Yeah, he's been outstanding in the defensive department, Jazz, this year. He's constantly up there in the high 30s and low 40s with his tackles, and he did it again on the weekend. And 67 run meters, playing predominantly in the hooking role, quite good. Great performances indeed, mate. Freddie Lussic on debut, he really worked his way into the game. He had 3 dummy half runs, 25 meters, a tackle break, 41 tackles on club debut is outstanding.
Yeah, awesome.
And 45 kick meters. He looked pretty good in his first hit out.
He did.
And
yeah.
Congratulations to Freddie too on becoming Warrior 270. So this week our 2-1 points go to, we gave 1 point to Marcelo Montoya. We gave 2 points to Matty Lodge, and our Torius player of the match for round 10 went to Walsh with 191 run meters, 51 post-contact, 4 tackle breaks, an offload, a try assist, 81 kick meters, and 5 from 5 off the boot with his goal kicking. Outstanding performance. Reese's really starting to come into his own now. So our player of the season standing sees Josh Curran and Adam Fanua-Blake still joint leaders on 11. Reece Walsh now in 3rd place, hot on their heels, 1 point behind on 10 points. And Matt Lodge a further point back on 9 points. Before we move on to the rest of the round, I just want to ask your opinion on Shaun Johnson. Not and our halves in general. Not Shaun. Shaun hasn't been having a great season by any stretch of the imagination. He's won us 2 games in Golden Point, and last year they would have been out a loss. So it's been well worthwhile having him on the field in those situations. But and the Broncos game, he kind of seemed to be looking like he was getting a little bit of his organisational stuff underway. We noticed that he was talking a lot, but performance-wise, he hasn't been very good at all. How much time do you give him in the halfback role, considering now Chanel's back from injury? He's named on the extended bench this week. Still contract on the table on offer. And they've just brought Ronald Volkman in early for half a season earlier than when he was supposed to come beginning of next year, and they've got him here now. How long do we persist with Shaun Johnson? Shaun Johnson being Shaun Johnson, and dropping him would be a massive statement. Do you think Brownie's got the balls? If so, chances do you think Sean gets?
I would give him the next 2 games. So against the Dragons and the Knights. If we fail to get the job done in those games and we continue to sort of lack a little bit of leadership and game management out there, then I think we have to try something else because the season is like ticking away. And those are games that we really should be winning. So hopefully, mate, he goes out there and regains some of his mojo. Like that second half maybe kind of stings him back into action because this year he's been really good in little bursts. So we noticed at the Raiders game, like he came to life in the final 20 minutes of that Raiders game. And he started running the ball pretty much on cue when Blocker was like, "Oh, Sean Johnson needs to start running the ball," and he looked dangerous, and obviously ultimately won us that game. But we can't. We need to win these next 2 games. There's no 2 ways about it, and we need some stability and guidance and leadership from our halves. And him being the most experienced half that we have, it really needs to come from him. So I'd give him the next 2 weeks, and if it hasn't worked out, then maybe we do need to look at bringing Chanel in, mixing it up, give Volkman a try, give him his debut, see how he goes. I don't know, but hopefully it doesn't come to that.
Yeah, Chanel's an interesting one, isn't it? Because he's had a contract offer on the table now for a couple of weeks. That he hasn't acted. Quite sure what's going on with Chanel. Because from all reports, I don't think there's many other NRL clubs sniffing around for Chanel's signature. I don't know if he's got an offer from another club. With Chanel on contract, coming off contract, contract offer on the table, and Sean's contracted next year, and we've got Volkman there now for the next 3 seasons. We've got Metcalf coming next year. And Arzi is basically on a deal up until the end of this season. But amongst all of that, he's our first choice 5'8" at the moment. So what do you think? What's your thoughts on what could happen in regards to Chanel and these other players? If Chanel doesn't accept that contract offer, is Dejan Arzi then offered that contract instead for depth in our halves? And we know Dejan can play centres and wing as well. He's done that at the Cowboys. Or do they look elsewhere for another 5'8"?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. And the more time that goes by and Chanel doesn't put pen to paper, makes me think that there's something going on there. And like he may be looking at options elsewhere or whatever's going through his head, but like it's just a bit unusual that he's had the contract and it's been sitting there for weeks now and hasn't been signed. Obviously, Azzi brought in for insurance. Should Chanel not continue on with the club? So I would imagine that since he would have already played like 2/3 of the season already for us. He would, I would assume, be offered a contract. Arcee would be offered a contract, I mean.
Yeah. There's a couple of comments coming through. Mark Roberts says, weren't they discussing contract for CHT over Magic Round? That was what was in the media here in New Zealand last week, I believe. Yeah, they and Jacko says that CHT has had a contract for quite a while. I have no idea why he won't sign. Maybe he doesn't like Brown or something, but if he doesn't, let's just sign Arcee, who really wants to be a Warrior. Yeah, there's some talk about Chanel possibly going on and doing other things aside from NRL and away from NRL, like early retirement and getting out of the sport. There's that rumor that's been flying around. There's also he's just had major surgery on his testicles, so probably signing a contract has been the furthest thing from his mind at the moment. But you would think a young 24-year-old, I think he's 24 or 23-year-old, would really want to get their future sorted, ready for next year. I know if I was, and then again, we don't know what the contract offer is either.
We don't even know the length of it either.
Yeah, we don't know the length. We don't know the amount. So Perhaps Chanel's just weighing up his options at this point in time. But as he said, the season's nearly halfway through. There's a guy that's playing there at the moment in that 6 jersey and has done for the past 3 weeks now, and has been picked again to play this week. So we're going into round 11, and he's played 4 games in that 6 jersey, which is, a third of the season so far. You'd think he's got his hands on that jersey for the remainder of the season if he keeps playing well enough. Raiders and Knights have been interested in him, according to rumour, if you believe rumours. I do believe rumours sometimes, depending on where they're coming from. But the fact that the Knights have just picked up Anthony Milford would probably
that's only for this year, though.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's only for this year, but again, who knows what happens after a couple of games. If Milford, plays well enough, then obviously there should be a contract.
Because we're playing them in 2 weeks.
I know. Well, we all know that guys like Craig Milford last year killed us at Brisbane.
He's one good game of the year. It was against us. Of course it was. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, absolutely. Waiting for O'Sullivan to contact him. Yeah, I don't know, mate. CHT has an offer table from Blues and New Zealand Rugby Union too. Interesting.
Really?
Okay. Didn't hear that one. Interesting, especially from the Blues. They're like flying high. They've won like 11 from 12 games and looking the goods at the moment. So, yeah. Milford will join Bennett for sure. Yeah, I've got a funny feeling he'll go to the Dolphins. Yeah.
All right, well, let's go around the grounds, mate. Have a look at the other results from round 10.
Yeah, let's quickly go through it. So Friday night, we had the Bulldogs versus the Knights. The Bulldogs 6, Adokar try, Burton 1 goal. The Knights 16, Lee Best including the tries, Ponga 2 from 4. The Knights, they were able to snap a 7-game losing streak with a scrappy 16-6 win over the Bulldogs in the opening game of Magic Round. Josh Adokar's try, it takes his tally to 20 in 19 games at Suncorp Stadium and 108 4-pointers in his career. Doesn't seem that long ago that he debuted, in my mind anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, 108 tries already. Bulldogs prop Paul Vaughan, he may produce a powerful 31-minute stint to open the game.
Hang on, mate, can I stop you there for a minute?
Yes.
Mate, I could play on the end of that Melbourne back line and score 108 tries, so it's not too surprising that he scored 108 tries.
It's like you catch the ball and you put it down. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Yes, party man Paul Vaughan, who had a bit to say this week, didn't he?
He did.
31-minute stint to open the game. Yeah, as I said, 98 metres, 10 hit-ups. Edric Lee, he scored his first try since round 2020. That was against the Titans. And his first game back from a 6-game ban, soon-to-be Warrior Mitch Barnett, he had 7 tackle breaks and ran for 136 metres for the Knights. Daniel Saifidi left the field for HIA after 25 minutes. That was cleared to return. Bulldogs back rower Corey Riddell was forced from the field with HIA with 24 minutes to play after getting his head in awkward position, attempting to tackle Mitch Barnett. He did not return. Chris Patolo placed on report for a high tackle on Enari Tuala midway through the second half. Mate, Bulldogs, all sorts of turmoil with Zoolander Barrett with no solutions, Dogs' poor performance, and stepping down as coach. Stepping down as coach, if you ask Gus Gould. Yeah.
Got a feel for poor old Zoolander.
Not many coaches survive the second sacking, do they?
Well, I think he's going to be the new Steve Kearney of NRL coaching, where, no success at 2 clubs. He'll just be an assistant for the rest of his days.
Just a gun assistant, yep.
Yeah. And, by all reports, the guys that play under him, the guys that have worked with him say that he's got a great footy brain and that, but and he was a great player, Baz, but being a good player doesn't necessarily translate into being a good coach. And we've seen it happen many a time. And some of the best coaches are the guys that weren't great players. Trent Robinson wasn't a standout rugby league player. Shane Flanagan wasn't a standout rugby league player. Craig Bellamy was a pretty
Toiler.
ordinary rugby league player. Yeah. But then you have guys like Steve Kearney, who was an awesome player, but just couldn't convert that into.
Now Meninga at club level.
Club level was awful. I remember Alan Thompson at Manly. He was Manly 5'8". He became coach of Manly. He was awful there. There's a few of them. It's a tough gig, and it's interesting performance. Interesting decision for the Dogs to announce Mick Potter as the interim coach for them this year too.
Yeah, Mick Potter coached the Tigers back in 2013, 14, 15. Got sacked around that time. Yeah.
Callum McGill, Hammer, you've told us about your reserve grade career at North Sydney in the past. Do you have any YouTube videos of yourself in action to share with the fans of yourself and Roo's show? Mate, that was like late 80s, early 90s, like 1990. So YouTube wasn't invented, and I pretty much like video cameras were like not really that big back then.
They were, but they were big. That's the thing. Video cameras back then were like these huge, big things.
Yeah.
Look like bloody Megatron.
The only thing I've got to prove that I ever played rugby league is a couple of big leagues with my name in it, mentioned in the team list, and that's about it.
Was it you or the Mark Carter that played for the Warriors, though?
No, it wasn't him, mate. It wasn't him. He was an All Black, that guy too.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
I wish that was me. Lodge's still to make up his mind where he'll be next year. I know it'll be at the Dolphins. It won't be with us.
Yeah,
the second game on Friday night of Magic Round was the Seagulls, the home team against the Broncos at Suncorp. What a stitch up that is. The Seagulls, a big duck egg. Zilch, Broncos 38. Selwyn Cobbo 3 tries. Corey Oates 2. Reynolds a try. Reynolds 7 from 7 goals. Mate, this was an Adam Reynolds masterclass that led the Broncos to a stunning 38 win over Manly. The Broncos, number 7, laid on 2 tries for Selwyn Cobbo with pinpoint kicks and scored one of his own as Kevy Walters' men made it 4 wins on the trot. The Sea Eagles did not get a tackle inside the Broncos' 20-metre zone until the 27th minute. The Broncos' first half dominant, 61% possession, was reflected in the stats of their 3 forwards running for more than 100 metres. Payne Haas, 102, Corey Jensen, 107, Pat Carrigan, 157 in the first half alone. The last time the Broncos won 4 in a row was in 2017 when they strung together 6 on the bounce between rounds 6 to 11. Broncos winger Selwyn Cobbo and Corey Oates combined for 5 tries and 455 running metres. Manly forward, bench forward Toff Sipley was placed on report for a dangerous tackle. 5 of the Broncos forwards clocked up in excess of 100 metres, while none of Manly's forwards could reach triple figures. The last time Manly were held scoreless was in 2013 in the qualifying final against the Roosters, which was a 4-0 win. And a real question mark now about Manly, because their 5 wins, and they were looking pretty sitting in the top 8 with 5 wins, but their 5 wins are come against the bottom 5 teams leading into that round, which were the Bulldogs, the Knights, the Raiders, Titans and Tigers. And they lost their games to Panthers, Roosters, Sharks, Rabbits and Broncos now. So interesting, isn't it, that they can't beat teams in the top 8 or above them, but they've been able to account for the teams below them. So they're sitting in 9th at the moment. We're sitting in 11th. We need them to have a couple more losses, us to have a couple more wins to jump ahead of them. That way, when we play them, we know we're ahead of them, and they, by the stats, they can't beat us.
And as Harkatime said, they were wearing your favourite black jersey as well.
You know what? Black is my favourite colour, so I don't mind the black jersey. I just didn't like it on Anzac Day.
Fair cool.
But yeah.
Okay, so obviously our game was the 3 o'clock one on Saturday. The 5:30 game was the Titans versus the Dragons. Titans 20, Brimson, Fermor, Wallace, and Asako with the all-important try and golden point. Asako 2 from 3. Yep. The Dragons 16, Fagai, DeBellin, and Sully tries. Lomax 2 from 4. Jermaine Asako missed 2 extra time field goal attempts before snatching a 2016 win for the Titans against the Dragons with an 89th minute try on Saturday night. It was just the try. Little separated the two teams in a gripping contest, but it looked like St George Illawarra, they were finishing the strongest. They should have won this. They should have wrapped this up. Gold Coast prop, Jared Wallace crashed over for a pretty soft try, all things considered, to force the game to extra time. And Asako scored the match winner. Sexy Sexton's kicking game kept the pressure on the Dragons. They were forced to make 3 goal line dropouts in the opening 15 minutes. Eventually, the pressure took its toll. Josh Maguire sent to the sin bin. Is that right? Did we get that checked? Yeah, he was. He was sent to the sin bin in the 17th minute for repeated infringements. St George Illawarra, they were forced to defend 5 repeat sets on their own line. The Dragons, they lost Maguire at halftime to injury. Ben Hunt produced a 40-20 kick in the 45th minute, but the Dragons failed to capitalise. The Red V, they suffered another setback when Moses Sully was disallowed a try in the 53rd minute because of obstruction by Jack Bird on Sexton. However, they were finally rewarded when Jack DeBellin bumped his way over for a try after Hunt combined with Amone. Lomax, his radar was a bit off. His mixed kicking game ensured the Titans were able to stay in the contest. And prop Jared Wallace, as we said before, charged over to put the game into golden point in the 74th minute. Lomax, he missed 2 field goal attempts as well. And the match went into extra time. And in the period of golden point, he and Gold Coast winger Jermaine Asako both failed with attempts. Sexton missed with a field goal attempt, but it was knocked on. Amone, right in front of us, actually, fumbled the ball next to his post, crucially. It gave the Titans a scrum feed, an ideal attacking position. And rather than set up for another field goal, the Titans shifted the ball wide and put all their eggs in one basket, and it ultimately paid off. Campbell put Asako over in the corner, just had his fingers on the side of the ball because they did take a second look at it. But that proved
they
to be
did, didn't
winner.
they? Yeah. That's where our fan section was right next to us. So a lot of the Titan boys celebrating right in front of us. We tried yelling out to Sambo Skipper, but he couldn't see us in the crowd. He looked a bit confused because people were yelling at him as he was walking off. Our mate Sambo. But we did catch up with Georgia in the stands too, which was quite good. Georgia Hale. So it was great to catch up with her at that game. The final game on Saturday night was the Storm versus Panthers, the game that everyone had been talking about for weeks to come. And it ended up being a bit of a non-event, really, didn't it? The Storm 6 tried a meanie with a goal, and the Panthers 32 tries to Tago, Kikau, Luai, Crichton tries, and Cleary, the sideball on point with 6 from 6 goals. The Panthers, they bounced back from their first loss of the season to down a brave but undermanned Storm outfit 32-6 at Suncorp Stadium. The clash of the co-competition leaders had been billed as match of the season, but Melbourne without Pappenhausen and Remus Smith, and then they lost Jerome Hughes before kickoff with a calf injury. There was always going to be trouble for them. Rookies Cooper Johns and Tyron Wishart were called up to replace Hughes and Pappenhausen, but the Suns, the former Kangaroo, Johns and Rod Wishart, had a tough night as Penrith roared to their 9th win of the season. Kick-out scored, soaring above Marion Seve to latch onto a Cleary Crossfield kick to score in the 10th minute. And the Storm just were basically starved of any possession. Star 5'8" Cameron Munster managed to get them back in the game in the 18th minute when he followed up on one steal with a perfectly placed cross for an unmarked Nick Meaney to score. He's good on those one-on-one steals, isn't he? He can get one of them a game. It was all the Panthers. Panthers were just way too good. As I said, the game was a bit of a non-event. It was kind of over before halftime, and ideally, if the Storm were fully fit and had their best squad on the park, it could have been a different ball game.
Moving on to Sunday, and the first game was the Sharks versus the Raiders. The Sharks 10, Katoa and Hunt tries, Hines 1 from 2. The Raiders 30, Chris Papali'i, Harawira Naira, Schneider, Young tries, Schneider 5 from 6. Zach Wolford, the son of the ex-Raider Simon Wolford, the Germ, as he was affectionately known, made his NRL debut for the Raiders in the position that his father played, 234 games for the Raiders in hooker. The Canberra, they recorded back-to-back wins for the first time this season, stunning the out-of-sorts Sharks sides 30-10. So they started the match with creatively short kickoff working in their favour. It was all one-way traffic, though, and they raced to a 20-0 halftime lead. The Raiders got on the board in the 5th minute through Seb Chris when he outleaped Katoa, got the ball down. Sharks really were their own worst enemies, gifting the Raiders possession and yardage and penalties and committing basically all the cardinal sins of rugby league, and 4 of which they eased any pressure on the opposition. And Josh Papali'i crashed over from close range, and a clumsy high shot from Britton Nakora on Corey Harawira-Naera enabled the Raiders to push their lead to 14. They got a penalty goal there. And then Harawira-Naera himself ensured that the side got into a 20-point lead when he finished off a Sione Katoa spill in a disappointing afternoon for the Sharks winger. The Raiders, this is the interesting part. The Raiders were forced to defend with 12 men after Chance Nickel-Clockster was sin-binned at a professional foul in the 34th minute. Canberra were then denied a 4th try of the afternoon during that period with Jordan Rapana. He was ruled offside from that kick. Wasn't that sin bin? That Raiders actually had two plays in the sin bin at the same time in the second half. So Corey Horsburgh and I forget who the other one was. But ironically, the Sharks found themselves up against an 11-man defence and couldn't get the job done either. But we didn't hear about that, did we?
No.
Yeah, but it's refreshing to see that it's not just us. Anyway, the Sharks well off their game. You have to question the move, pushing Nico Hines and inform Nico Hines back to fullback. That seemed to sort of affect the team's continuity there. So, yeah, tough afternoon for the Sharks, but well done to the Raiders. They played well and they got a couple of late tries to seal the win.
Absolutely. The second game was the Roosters versus the Eels. The Roosters 31, Suwali 2, Waria Hargraves, Tedesco, Walker tries. Walker 5 from 7 goals and a field goal. The Eels 24. Why did we let him go? Isaiah Papali'i 2 tries. Moses Madison tries. Moses 4 from 4. Roosters young guns, Sam Walker and Joseph Suwali were their best in this 31-24 win over Para. Walker scored a brilliant solo try and landed 4 goals and a field goal while Suwali grabbed a double as Robbo's men chalked up their sixth win of the season. Roosters skipper James Tedesco played his 100th game for the club in this game as well. And Mitch Moses, he's racked up 7 try assists across the 3 years of Magic Round. So he does like going to Magic Round. Waria Hargraves, he was placed on report in the 19th minute for a crusher tackle on our mate Hayes Perham. The Roosters lost hard-working lock Victor Radley to an ankle injury in the first half. And again, Paul Victor, he's going to be out for about 6 to 8 weeks. And this is going to be the 3rd year in a row he's missed out on Origin selection due to either injury or suspension. But leading from the front for the Roosters was Big JWH in game number 270 with a try and 157 run meters from 15 hit-ups. The Roosters have won 6 of their past 7 games against the Eels. Wood on the Eels at the moment. Papali'i was a powerhouse for Parramatta with 2 tries, 3 tackle breaks and 166 run meters. And isn't it interesting that after that season that he had at the Eels last year, everyone said he couldn't repeat it and he's just gone on to bigger and better things. He'll have to be one of the guys picked for the New Zealand team for the upcoming test in a couple of weeks in that back row. Suwali, he scored 5 tries in his past 3 matches. He's really enjoying being on the end of that Roosters backline. And Eels 5'8", Dylan Brown, he was placed on report for a high contact on Satili Tupanua in the 73rd minute. And the Roosters back row, he was left for HIA at that point and didn't return. Good win by the Chuggies.
Yes, very good win. And to round out the Magic Round on Sunday and the Magic Round in total in its entirety was the Tigers versus the Cowboys. Tigers 12, Tupou and Garner tries, Hastings 2 from Cowboys 36, Tuolangi 2, Drinkwater, Felt, Cotter, Hiku, Nanai tries, and Holmes 4 from 7. Toddy's in-form Cowboys. They stretched their winning streak to 5 as they closed out Magic Round in style with a big 36 win. The last time the Cowboys 5 in a row was early in 2016. That was the midst of their golden era, the Jonathan Thurston era there. And that sort of period there included obviously their maiden premiership in 2015 and their grand final appearance in 2017. The game opened in spectacular fashion. Murray Tuilagi setting up a try for Scott Drinkwater with an outrageous flick pass as being bundled over the sideline before West Tigers debutant Junior Tupou flew high to snare Jackson Hastings' bomb to score the first try of his career. The highlight of the match has to be Reuben Cotter, though. What about his try? Straight up the middle. A just reward. He's been one of the Cowboys' best this year, but he does it through a dummy to no one.
I know. I know. Wasn't the vision from Foxcam that flying Foxcam? Yeah, that was awesome watching that try. Made Stafford Toll look like an absolute twit.
A girl. A couple of HIAs for the Tigers. Unfortunately, they lost Kenny Mamalo and Jake Simpkin. So they were down on troops. Reuben Cotter, he was also placed on report for a dangerous tackle on Junior Tupou.
Yep.
It's a high-quality first half as the Cowboys completed 100%, 18 from 18. The Cowboys were 15 from 18 as well, 83%. So the Cowboys have scored 30-plus points in 4 games in a row for the first time in the club's 27-year history. Toddy's got them firing on all cylinders there. Reuben Cotter, Jordan McLean had 27 runs and 318 metres between them for the Cowboys. And Kelma Tuilagi, he went on report in the final play of the game for a tackle off the ball on Kyle Felt.
Yeah, so that wraps up Magic Round. And if we look at the ladder, or we go through the ladder, Penrith now move back to competition leaders after their victory over the Storm. 2 points clear of the Storm, who are in second place. And the Cowboys continue to heavily entrench themselves in the top 4 on 14 points and all alone in that third spot on the ladder. The Roosters, they climbed into the top 4, jumping ahead of both the Sharks and the Eels on for and against. And the Broncos move into 7th spot with the Rabbits making up the top. The Sea Eagles, they fall outside the top 8 and into Tiger spot.
Tiger Town.
With the Raiders moving into 10th, the Warriors remaining in 11th, and the Dragons in 12th, all teams on 8 points. And only 2 points out of the top 8. And the Knights and Titans jumped 2 points clear of the Bulldogs with their wins. And the Bulldogs and Tigers, with a paw each on the wooden spoon, languishing for competition point.
Yes, indeed. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at how the Warriors line up for this all-important match on Sunday at Cogra. Well, I still call it Cogra. Sorry, not Sunday. Saturday. Yep. Saturday, 3 o'clock game. So we have Reece Walsh, Dallin, and Marcello Montoya on the wings, Valea and Pompey in the centres, Arzi and Johnson in the halves, AFB, Jazz, and Matt Lodge in the front row. Ewan Aiken, he returns, Tohu and partners Tohu in the second row, and Jack Murchie moved back to lock. Interchange bench, we have Pene, BMM, Bunty Afoa, and Freddie Lussic retaining his spot on the bench there. The extended bench is Katoa, Otokolu, Arthurs, Pride, Pedersen Rabadi, Junior Ratuva, Volkman, and CHT. Interestingly named 25.
Yeah. Wade Egan's still not available with that calf injury, keeping him sidelined, which brings Jazz into play his 100th NRL game and his 100th club game this week. So congratulations to Jazz. He's named at hooker. He's a reluctant hooker, we know that. And Freddie Lussic named on the bench, who will obviously come on and relieve him in that hooking duty. Ewan Aiken returns from his HIA absence. He slots straight back into that left back row position. Jack Murchie moved from the edge back row to lock to cover Jazz's absence at lock. And I expect Tohu to play middle and Murch to move to that left edge back row spot, I think. I think that'll probably be better. I think we need Tohu in and around the middle of the field, more hands on the ball. Interestingly, both Jesse Arthurs and Chanel House-Davida named on the extended bench, and considering their form post-injury, you would probably expect that if they're fit, they may come into the side, particularly Arthurs. But yeah, it's going to be a tough one. We really need Johnson to step up in this one.
Has to.
Both teams on eight competition points. Mate, this was a game that got away from us in round 1 up at the Sunshine Coast. We led that game, I think, 16-12 1 point. We kind of dropped the ball, and Michaeli Ravalawa went on a bit of a try-scoring rampage in that game. So, yeah, we've got some pride at stake in this one, most definitely.
For sure do. Terrible record against the Dragons overall. So, but we did get a good win there last year.
Jacko Curran is back in 3 weeks. Spoke to his parents on the weekend and his manager, and they all said 3 weeks. So I wait for not the game after Newcastle, whoever we play there. Is that Manly?
Yeah, Manly. I'm pretty sure it's Manly. Yeah. It's Brookie. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go around the grounds for the NRL round 11.
Yep.
Thursday night, we've got the Knights versus the Broncos. The Knights, as we said before, the MILF, he's named at 5'8", making his Knights debut, and Tyson Frizzell returning from injury. No changes to the Broncos. Broncos are looking really good at the moment. You picked them to make the top 8 at the start of the year, and they're one of the form teams in the competition at the moment. I think they'll be too strong for the Knights.
They are. All the teams I picked to make the top 8 are actually sitting in the top 8 at the moment, except for the Warriors. The Warriors are the only team the team that's in there that I didn't pick is South. So far
still time.
Yeah, my predictions are looking quite good. Broncos, they're going to go 5 in a row. This one, the Knights. I think if the Knights play anyone but the Bulldogs last weekend, they lose. And I think it's a false sense of security that they might be hitting some form. Excuse me. I reckon the Broncos and the Broncos in a big one. I think it'll be 13 plus. Friday night, first game on Friday night. Callum McGill. A question for you guys and Gamble. I think that he's a competent player at 5'8". He plays with grunt and passion, but is prone to conceding brain explosion style penalties. A loose cannon. Would sanitizing a player like that's antics impact on other more positive aspects of his game?
I'm not a big fan of that guy. He just looks loose. He's just a loose unit. He's got that haircut. He looks like an Ishay to me. That's just taken off his Nike TMs and taken off his bum bag. And
I've got to be questioned how I answer that because I'm friends with his sister. And she's a lovely person. She's a footy player herself. I don't know Tyson at all. He did come from the Tigers. I don't know. I think you've got to let them play. I think you just got to let him play his natural game. I think if you try to tone him down too much, it takes away from the positive aspects of his game. I think he's just one of those guys that he's going to get under the skin of other players. He reminds me of Josh Reynolds. He's that kind of player where you need him to have that bit of grunt and that bit of fire in him to play good footy, because if he doesn't have it, you're not going to get the results out of him. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on it anyway. Friday night, someone said about Jack Hetherington being released by the Dogs. Would we want him? I don't think so.
He doesn't want to come to New Zealand. That's his whole reason.
He doesn't want to come to the Warriors. That was why, he
didn't sign with us to begin with. Yeah.
To begin with. Plus, I think he's a bit of a loose unit. And we're doing quite well with our loose units in Lodge and Jazz staying on the field this year. They're playing with a lot more discipline. I think that's something that's really changed in our DNA. So, I don't know if we need somebody to come in to upset the apple cart. And I think he would, because he would start, we would be playing a man down on multiple weekends, and it may encourage Jazz to get back into that aggressive style that we were so used to. But he's kind of curbed that the silliness out of his game. He's still got the aggression, but he's curbed that silliness. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of having Hetherington come back to the club. He was great when in that time period that we had him, and we thank him, and he's forever and always a Warrior. But I think his time at the club's come and gone. Tigers, Bulldogs. So the Tigers, Junior Tupu, who made his debut, spectacular debut for the Tigers on the weekend. He retains his spot on the wing. Arce Kapoa has moved to the centres. Tyrone Peachy also named in the centres. The Trent Barrett resignation is Brent Naden has shifted from the Dogs to the Tigers and has been named on the extended bench. I would expect Brent Naden will probably play this game, which will be interesting. For the Dogs, Jaden Ockenbaugh is named on the wing to replace the departed Brent Naden. Jackson Tote is back row. Raymond Faitala Mariner, ex-Warrior Raymond Faitala Mariner, who's been out with injury for such a long time. I don't think he played a game in 2021. He's been named on the extended bench, so it's good to see him working his way back from injury. Mate, I reckon the Tigers will win this in a close one.
I think it's going to be a close one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Two struggling sides, so yeah, it could be very close. And the whole sacked coach element always, not always, but it does is perceived to lift the side. So it'll be interesting. But I think the Tigers might just have enough. Moving on to the Eels versus Sea Eagles. No changes to the 17 for the Eels on Magic Round. For Manly, Reece Feldman, Morgan Harper named in the centres, and Josh Schuster named on the bench to return from injury. This will be a tough game. I think the Eels will have too much though for the Sea Eagles. I think they'll end up running away with this game.
Yeah, I think so too, mate. Manly are just a little bit inconsistent at the moment. They're really struggling. It's easy to see that Tommy Trbojevic is playing under duress and with an injury, and they're definitely not getting the best out of him. So, yeah, I think the Eels will win comfortably, to be quite honest. The first game on Saturday is Dragons versus at Netstrata Stadium. Dragons, Cody Ramsey returns to fullback. The Dragons have named not a back row, but a jack row of Jack Bird, Jack Gajewski, and Jack DeBellin. The Warriors, Tavanga named at hooker. Aitken returns from injury at lock. Lussic on the bench and CHD on that extended bench. Mate, this is a must-win game for us. We don't have a lot of good results happening this season away from Redcliffe, but our only other win has been in Sydney at Tiger Town. So I'm picking the Warriors to win, and I think we'll win quite comfortably.
Oh, I'd love to have your optimism, but it's going to be a nervous 4-point win. You know it is. Cowboys versus Storm is up next. The Cowboys, no changes from the 17 name played in Magic Round. For the Storm, Tyron Wishart, fullback. Jerome Hughes named to return from injury, and Brand Smith named in the front row. This is the first big test for Toddy's Cowboys.
Yep.
You know what? I'm going to stick with the Cowboys. I think that they'll be able to keep their form and momentum going. A Storm team that's, had a bit of a battering of their confidence last week. I think Cowboys might be able to get away in a close one here.
Mate, I've tipped the Cowboys. I've already put my tips in for this week. I've tipped the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys will get the Storm. I think Ryan Pappenhausen is a massive out for the Storm, as to is Remus Smith in the centres. For them to get Jerome Hughes back is great, but they've lost Nelson Asafa Solomona in the front row as well, so they're losing a bit of size and impact in their front row. Cowboys are just high. That team is just playing great footy. Toddy's got them buzzing along nicely. So I'm tipping the Cowboys at home. I think the Cowboys will get them. Then we've got the Roosters and the Panthers. For the Roosters, obviously, what's his name? Victor Radley is a mission from their squad. He's out for 6 to 8 weeks with that ankle. Lindsay Collins, named to return from injury, is named on the bench. Siwa Taukeiaho goes into the starting side. For the Panthers, as expected, no changes to their 17 from Magic Round. I think they haven't made many changes at all this year. They keep with that same 17. and they're back on target. They're back on. It's going to be a good test for the Reds to see where they're at, but I think the Panthers will get them. I think the Panthers by about 8.
I think the Panthers will end up winning pretty comfortably, 13 plus for mine. Rabbits and the Raiders is the next game. The Rabbitohs. Trent Peoples named in the back row to replace injured Jacob Post. Raiders, Zach Wolford named at hooker. And no other changes to either team. Interesting game, this one. I think the Raiders are on the improve, but I think the Rabbitohs will have just a little bit too much at home. I think it'll be close, but yeah, I'm picking the Rabbits to win by 6.
Yeah, that Trent Peoples, he's the one he made his debut a couple of weeks ago, and then if the Rabbits had won, they would have lost their competition points because he was a development player, so he couldn't play until after round 10. So now he's back in the fold. He looked good in that last outing. I didn't mind him as a back. Raiders, Zach Wolford, had a great debut game. The thing for him now is to back that up week in, week out. I say it all the time. I'm a massive fan of that Raiders pack in Papali'i and Elliot Whitehead, Corey Hawira-Naira, Hudson Young, Adam Elliott. I love their pack. I think the Rabbits may be a little bit too good for them. I think they would have had a bit of a scare from the kick that we had against them last week, and I think Dimitri will have them pumped for this game. So I'll pick the Rabbits. And the last game, Titans versus Sharks. Titans. No changes to their victorious team at Magic Round. Incidentally, just on the Titans. Oh, sorry. Nico Hines for the Sharks. Nico Hines moved back to halfback, which you said would probably be the best move. Lachlan Miller is named to make his NRL debut and no other changes. Mate, I'm going to tip the Sharks in this one. I just want to go back to the Titans, though. How good was it on Saturday night when we left the venue, we left Suncorp to go up and meet up with some friends to have a bit of a drink while the Dragons and Titans game was on. We ran into Preston Campbell in the street and we're having a bit of a chat to Preston. And he's watching Jaden on the big screen. He wasn't actually in there watching him live play because he was working for the NRL. He said, I'll have to be out here. I'm working for the NRL. But you could see that his attention was purely focused on that big screen watching Jaden play. But that was quite an interesting little dynamic that we got to witness there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. Great fellow as well. He was just up for a chat, wasn't he?
Was. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he was.
Guys, don't forget, live shows coming up every Wednesday. Our Warriors review next week will be our round 11 review, hopefully of our win against the Dragons. And, of course, we'll continue to make those connections with the former players, bring you more of those head-to-head interviews that you guys all enjoy. So, confirmed to be coming on. We just have to work out dates with these guys. Jason Deeth, we've been in touch with him, as we said, and we're going to get him on sometime in June. Robbie Mears, Tony Martin, and Richard Villasanti. They're all coming up very soon. So keep an eye on our events page on Facebook for any upcoming fan pre-game meetups that will be on for any of the games. In terms of Redcliffe, we'll be at the Dolphins Leagues Club. We can't, unfortunately, book any tables there, but if you head out to the back to the sports bar, awesome atmosphere, and you get to hang out with all the fellow fans there.
Absolutely, and just a reminder that we are still on Patreon. It's our member subscription platform that enables you, our followers, to show your support of the content we provide by signing up for a monthly subscription.
Yes, that's right. And you can head to our Patreon page to show your support and subscribe to our bronze tier. That's set up at the lowest possible amount. That's just $3 a month, which is really next to nothing. But it does go a long way for us and helps us to cover some of the costs that are involved with making the show. We'd really like to thank those who have subscribed to our bronze tier Patreon program so far. And a shout out to Daniel Delore, Peregrine Falconer, Sean Kurzweil, the Stat Warrior, Fabian Moroa, Stevie Williams, Christian Catley, Alf Tuilave, TK Harris, Ted Clark, Ine Mite, Lisa Marie Bateman, Ken Wills, Nigel Phillips, Kane Fraser, Jermaine Downs, Malcolm Earnshaw, Dennis, and Siala Afamasanga. Thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate your support.
Absolutely, we do. And we've also partnered with Toria Screen Print to produce a range of merchandise for us. available soon. Following the success of our halftone hero Steve Price shirt, which is hanging right here. We'll be releasing our next shirt in the next few weeks, so keep an eye out for that. Could possibly be the Josh Curran shirt that I'm wearing tonight. And if you want to purchase yourself a Roo Hammer hat, please contact us directly via our Facebook page, and we can organise that for you. We've got a limited number of hats available.
Very limited. They're selling really fast, guys. I sold about three more today. So if you do want one, I've got about 10 left. So first in, first serve, guys. So send us a PM and on Facebook, and we'll all be able to organise that for you.
Absolutely. And we're in the process of setting up our own membership platform, complete with exclusive member merchandise. So that'll only be available to our membership subscribers. And we'll speak more about that in the coming weeks. We've been using Patreon now for a little while, but Patreon being a US-based company and a lot of things that hoops that we've got to jump through, and they take a percentage of the money that is made through that platform. So we're looking at just setting up our own type thing through our own website,
own subscription
in the coming weeks. Yeah, so just keep an eye out for that, and everything that you guys purchase or donate goes towards making this product that we produce every week.
Yeah, that's right. Guys, don't forget, if you do miss any of our live shows, you can catch up on our Facebook page. Just go to the videos section there, or you can go to our YouTube channel and catch up there. While you're there, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. The easiest way to find our videos, though, is to head to the link tree, and I'll put the link up on the screen there, and that way you can access anything that we've ever done, any of the interviews, live chats, live watches, any of the content that we have made. You'll be able to catch all of it through there.
Absolutely. And if you're a podcast fan, you can catch all our episodes on podcast platforms. Again, go to Linktree. You can find all the links to our podcast platform media outlets: Spotify, Apple, Google, Breaker, Radio Direct, iHeartRadio. Make sure you subscribe to us there too. All our episodes are uploaded, so they're ready to listen to every Thursday morning following the show. And of course, please head to our Roo Hammer Instagram page, where we upload content daily to keep our followers informed of any upcoming events, Warriors news, player movements, significant player milestones, all other Warriors related content. All our photos from our Magic Round meetup last week are on there. We post all our photos from our meetups at every game. Today we posted a couple of little pics of the upcoming Indigenous jersey that's going to be released.
Yeah, it looks good.
In time for the game against Newcastle, I think, in 2 weeks. So thanks to Glenn Harris for sharing some images back in New Zealand that we shared on our platform as well. So looks quite good, mate. It looks like it's got a little bit of the black, white, red, green type stuff, the Māori and the old New Zealand type stuff, like the Māori flag's got the black, white, and red in it. So it could be, a bit of a throwback to that. Be interesting to see what the jersey looks like. All I remember is at the beginning of the year, which we can now say because it's happening, but at the beginning of the year, we were told as far back as in January that the Warriors were going to have 4 jersey releases this year. It was going to be the home jersey, the away jersey, the heritage jersey, and the Indigenous jersey. And Glenn, when he told us that, he said that the heritage jersey was going to be in honor of the 2002 grand final. So we knew that was coming up, and we were kind of getting a bit antsy when nothing was leading up to that Roosters game. But Glenn's exact words when he told me about the Indigenous jersey was that it brought tears to his eyes and made him cry. Now,
story behind
that's a powerful, that's pretty powerful. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what this jersey looks like. And it's definitely going to be one of those ones that you're going to have to get your hands on.
Yeah, definitely. I would imagine that will get released within the coming weeks. Well, it can't be coming weeks. It'll have to be coming week if we're going to be wearing it against the Knights. But we all know the struggles that Puma have had this year, unfortunately. So hopefully it comes out in large quantities as well.
I'm hoping they've got shorts to match. I really do.
Mate, I wouldn't hold your breath. We just got a quick question here from Caden. Roo,
Yep.
a quick one before you guys go. As a New South Wales supporter, I checked out the list of eligible players for Queensland on the QRL website. There seems to be magically so much more depth for Queensland numbers-wise and in terms of players who are playing well, especially at Queensland-based NRL clubs. I'm wary of you guys. Are you more confident this year? I wouldn't say I'm more confident, but it's good to have a lot more players, Queensland-eligible players in form. I mean, obviously the Cowboys playing really well, Broncos playing well does help. Queensland, we're always underdogs. Even through that decade of dominance, we were still underdogs. And yeah, it will remain that way. Look, the thing about Queenslanders. The thing about Queenslanders. Like, we find Queenslanders everywhere. You know that.
Yeah. Mate, I don't think there'll be a hell of a lot of change. Yes, there's a lot of guys that are playing some really good footy. But I think you'll find that a majority of continue to be picked based on last season. Who was their foot? Like Ponga's been told that he's got the fullback job regardless, unless he's good. So that kind of rules.
Walshy will be in the mix. Yeah, he'll be in the mix somewhere.
He'll be in the mix. Yeah, but I'm thinking like guys like Selwyn Cobbo, like they're talking him up quite a lot. I don't know whether he'll get
got Holmes. You got Xavier Coates.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, so centres. We've always struggled for centres in Queensland, especially in recent years. We tended to use Capewell at centres 2020, 21 as well.
Yeah. Well, you'll have Holmes will be a definite centre for you this year.
Tabuai Fido, he played in the third game last year, so he might be considered again.
Yeah, they make mass changes for the Queensland side.
No, we love our loyalty north of the border. You'll know about it soon enough, Hammer. When you
I know about it already, mate. Don't worry.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for your question. Thanks for all the questions tonight. We really enjoyed the chat and the banter as always. That brings our show to a close. Thank you so much to all you guys who were watching through Facebook and YouTube, and you guys who are listening the next day. We appreciate each and every one of you. And we're just a couple of fans that love to talk footy. So we're glad you guys enjoy it.
Absolutely. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you all again next week, next night, and go the Warriors. Happy birthday to my sister. She turns 50 this weekend, so I won't be at the Warriors game on Saturday because I've got my sister's 50th. Whānau above all else. So but go the Warriors. Happy birthday to my sister. See everyone next week.
Enjoy. Take care, guys.